Welcome back, everybody. I'm Tom Shircliff with Intelligent Buildings, and happy to have with me today Anna Rawson, Director of Facility, Technology, and Innovation with the GSA. And Anna, welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for having me.
And I want to say on behalf of Realcomm and IBcon, thank you for how much support you and GSA provide here and how much you use it. And we were just talking before, and tell me how many GSA people are here at the conference.
I believe we have 14, including 4 of our GSA IT personnel.
That is fantastic. And they're from all over the country?
Yes.
And both real estate, and what groups are they with?
So PBS represents the majority, and then again we have some GSA IT representatives here who we work really closely with.
Oh, so, just fantastic. And GSA has been coming here for a long time, I think more than 10 years.
Oh, yes.
Along with your strategy. And one quick thing, I don't know that everybody realizes that the GSA in the building side functions like just about any other real estate organization. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So we have a very large portfolio, about 1,500 buildings, but we also have a new construction program where we're constantly bringing on new courthouses and federal buildings. My home region, I previously worked for Region 4 in Atlanta, was one of the ones that was blessed with one of the bigger, new construction portfolios. Mm-hmm.
So you develop, you have leases and customers and tenants?
Yeah, so we have a bit of a mix. So we have our design and construction group, we have our facilities management group, of which I work part of, and our portfolio asset managers, and then we also work closely with our GSA IT partners who are separate from PBS.
And just so that's a fantastic scale organization who's serious about smart buildings that everybody can watch. And I know that you and your predecessors have had the perspective that you should be progressive and a little bit out there so that the industry can watch and learn from that, right?
Yes, so we have very heavily tried to lean into what's next, because it's important for us to continue operating as efficiently as possible. We have to keep our ear to the ground on seeing what we can build upon. We've made a great deal of progress already in our building systems, but there's always more that we can do and new use cases that we find to try to address. So.
And you were one of the first with very big smart building plans, one of the first in analytics, one of the first in cybersecurity. You really have practiced what you said about that.
Right. And so back when I was with Region 4 in Atlanta, that was when I got started with smart buildings. I was actually really excited to get started as part of the Fast 50, which the funding came out of the ARA program. So I was really working on 2 major projects at the same time, one of them being advanced metering and the other being smart buildings, to the point where I bought this smart buildings book that I was really excited about, just to learn more about the program and what it meant. Yes.
That's a really good point, because despite this fantastic conference and all the people that come here, there aren't too many Annas out there that are really moving a large portfolio very, very aggressively through smart building technology. How did you get in this position? Did you plan this in your career? Did you find yourself here? How does somebody get to where you are?
Yeah, so I went to Georgia Tech. I went in as a biology major and quickly realized I did not want to do that. I was going to be biology pre-med. My dad and my dad's dad, they were doctors. I quickly changed over to industrial and systems engineering because it offered me the most opportunity to pivot very quickly in my career. That gave me the opportunity to take a lot of elective engineering courses. So I took some mechanical courses, some electrical courses, and then I transitioned to work with GSA as a co-op student, actually, originally, for Region 4. And it was very eye-opening to the point where I asked for a detail out in Macon, Georgia, which was a neat opportunity for me because I'd spent most of my time in Atlanta. But I got to see the world through a facility manager's perspective, which, working closely with our O&M day to day, and then working to address our tenant issues and concerns.
So Georgia Tech, engineering, MBA, and then you were up in buildings, actually in the field.
I was in the field, yeah. So I served as their energy specialist, looking at our energy patterns in our different facilities, working on the building automation systems, learning about building automation systems early on, hands-on, and progressed to become the energy coordinator. When I came back to Atlanta, I was promoted to be the energy coordinator and later the branch chief for energy and sustainability.
So that's a logical connection. Then starting with energy, and that of course relates to sustainability, operational efficiency, and was that kind of a path that's logical?
That was definitely the path, and I'll say I've had some interesting turns through it all. Like I worked. I had one very quick left turn. I served as the regional client executive for the judiciary for about 3 years, and that was definitely not my technical side. That was much more a ability to translate very technical things to a non-technical audience, but it really gave me a good opportunity to work with some people I otherwise wouldn't have. So
that's in the courthouses?
So yes, so on GSA's behalf, serving as the main client executive for the judiciary, so working closely with chief judges, chief district judges, circuit judges, clerks of court.
So REITs think they have it tough dealing with tenants. Your tenant were federal judges.
Yes, so it was great experience though from the perspective that I had seen it from the facility manager side. I was familiar with how our systems worked. And then when concerns or issues or projects were happening, I was able to effectively translate for our GSA people on behalf of the court.
Just like GSA is very large and some of these investments are very big, that's actually an oversized tenant satisfaction exercise to really convert what technology can do for tenant satisfaction.
It is, and I feel like for me, it's given me a good landscape of who the players and the stakeholders involved. So I try to keep things very connected to how does it affect the facility managers and operators? Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that have the most direct connection with our tenant agencies, courts, and otherwise. So it's been definitely very helpful for my career.
I think there's another analogy there too, because in the GSA, obviously, they have a political dimension to it, right? You have political appointees that come in, and they may have their own priorities every 4 or 8 years.
Yes.
How have you been able to manage a smart building strategy that has vision and you're rolling out with these new priorities that come in on top of that?
So we had the foundation with getting our buildings onto the GSA network, and really the Fast 50 is part of our GSA Link program. But even broader than that, we've been building on GSA Link, adding additional use cases, adding in our metering and expanding into other areas. So. Yes.
So you had a technology foundation that was flexible and can do a lot of things.
Exactly.
And you may call it something one year and call it something different the next year, but it's still
we keep the broader vision, but then stay flexible to address existing current needs as they come up. Yes.
Again, if there was ever a place to prove it out, that's pretty intense. And so you mentioned the technology. Something that everybody has to deal with is the IT culture and staff versus the facility culture and staff. Can you tell us about that? Again, you've had to deal with that in a big way.
So I worked early on to get some of our automation systems onto the network, and some of what I really enjoy is that a lot of the IT representatives that I worked with back then, I still work with, so there's a great deal of joy just in that continuation of it. But I think the tone and just the conversation has really changed. It always came from a place of trying to understand each other's perspectives and really listening. Maybe they're saying something that we don't necessarily like or understand, but then revisiting that conversation and then, okay, we did it this way last time, why? How can we adapt it? How can we make improvements on it? And to that point, now we have some very mature guides, our building technology guide, or other program guides that really help support the broader program, both for OT and IT.
How have you factored that into your leadership now? So you've come up through the trenches and now you're in a leadership position. Is that you've got to deal with the cultural and the technical and all of these things. How do you prioritize those? What's your approach to that?
I think it's about the people, right? Like day to day, it's about the one-to-one connections I have with my counterparts, whether that's in IT or within the regions, which are a big part of our organization. So both in my ability to effectively understand what they need, what's working, what's not, and then conversely being able to provide them the proper tools and or guidance to help fill those needs. So.
But the IT structure is not in your group, it's a separate group?
No, it's a separate group. PBS is separate from GSA IT. So
maybe just a little more about that. That's you guys working together sort of in a corporate, in a headquarters environment. How does that play out in the field in hundreds of millions of square feet, that IT and facility?
So, I believe you have to lead by example. So my direct counterpart, I talk to her multiple times a day, and she is on most of the meetings that I join, and Conversely, I know when I worked with Region 4, I had a counterpart on IT as well. So you kind of have, in order to be successful, we need to be together at the table. So.
You said it's all about the people, and I heard you say earlier that even your technology strategy was pointed at facility managers, because that's where it actually has to be implemented. Is it really using the technology to enable people and to foster that for them?
It is. I mean, it's about the people, right? Like, the buildings aren't there just to be buildings. I think we can all really agree to that. It's more to serve the people, but in order to be operated effectively, you need people to interpret all the information in an effective way. So one of the things we're looking at is the UUI as an X factor. Mm-hmm.
Well, I just want to thank you again for all that you're doing for the industry and the way that GSA participates in and supports Realcomm and IBcon. And I would just encourage any of you out there, if you get a chance to talk to Anna, she's one of the great leaders in the smart building space and doing it with hundreds of millions of square feet. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
We'll be right back. Thank you all.